All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's talk
Let's
NASCAR
do it.
as we have two more races to go before the playoffs kick in. And that means CJ is coming back for another
Yep.
show. Thank goodness. I remember when we talked about it at the beginning of the year, we did our season preview show. I'm pretty sure we probably said something like, man, I can't wait to talk to CJ again, not just because the playoffs, but then it means the football season starting. So, hey, I can't wait for CJ to be on the air in the next couple of weeks. Just shows you how time flies, though.
Exactly. It seems like we were just having that show, and here we are, and it's like, well, that's starting like in a couple weeks. So this season has flown, and here we are,
And
and
it's a
we
good
got what
season. That's
it has. I mean,
it's awesome. Can you believe how
it,
good this season's been?
I can't. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason for the result. I think last week just goes to show again. Chris Buescher, I don't think had a career top five, maybe even one total top 10 at Richmond, and here he is going for the win. Kevin Harvick went 60 or 70 some races without a win, and
Yeah.
he's won two in a row. So I think it just goes that there is no rhyme or reason still. And I'm curious, once we 7 of the 10 playoff tracks we were at previous in the season. So I'm curious what changes with that. But I think for the next 2 weeks, we've not been to Watkins Glen, and then Daytona is Daytona. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
they're 7 times before it's going to be. So if I'm Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr., I'm sweating right now because there's a good chance that you could have neither of them make it at this
Well,
point.
Truex is the one who's in big trouble right now. So,
Yeah,
because he didn't, again, he was around again, but just didn't lead any laps, was never a threat. And look, I don't know. Again, as I've said all along, I'm just going to keep putting money on Truex, Blaney, and Wallace until the playoffs start. So I'm still going to do that, but I'm no dummy. I understand that Toyota's having a major issue on the road courses, but it's another road course. It's a completely different. It's a different course. So there's a little hope, only in the fact that every course is different, and it's another few weeks that the team has had to prepare for it. If there's anything they could do to try and change it, but likely he's going to have to try and win at a place where they've been awful at this year. I mean, a surface that they've been awful at this year, or a track that he's never won. I mean, come on, the odds of that happening are pretty
yeah,
low right now.
they are. I looked at it. He's 0 for 71 combined at Daytona and
There
Talladega,
you go.
and the two at Atlanta. If you want to throw those super speedway,
True.
0 for 71 with 6 top 5s.
Yeah.
Trends say you're probably not going to win Daytona, and Watkins Glen in the past, yeah, he's been good there. But like you said, Toyota has been terrible on road courses. I don't know why they magically change overnight
Crazy.
to
Crazy.
to and it seems to me road course races this season, as unpredictable as we've seen, the best car has won. I mean, Ross Chastain was arguably one of the best cars in Coda. He won. Tyler Reddick was clearly the best car in Indy. He won. He had a good enough car to hang around Chase Elliott for long enough at Road America to get by him to win. So Suarez, he had a good car in Sonoma, and it wasn't a fluke because he was good in Coda and he's good at the other road course. So I just find it hard to believe a guy that hasn't had a car good enough of winning is going to magically, with that car, win on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I think he's in trouble. And I think Blaney, ironically enough, it might make his path a little bit clearer on Sunday for Truex to don't care about the win. You're probably not going to win. Get stage points. That's the main key because Blaney did that at Richmond. Truex finished ahead of Blaney, but Blaney had more stage points and actually extended his lead over Truex in the process. So I think if you're Truex, the path is clear. Stay out, get stage
Yeah.
points. Don't worry
Well,
about
but
track
you also
position.
know that Blaney's going to do.
He's going to have to
He's
do the
either
same thing.
doing that or he's following Truex's lead. Whatever Truex does, he does.
He's almost going to have to. He'd be foolish to do the other way around because in Daytona, granted, I get it's easier to get a win and not have to rely on Daytona. But the saving grace for these two is if one of the 15 drivers who have already won a race this year wins Sunday, then one of them, there's a chance they could make the playoffs still. Because right now, there's a chance both of them don't. Then you could go to Daytona, and like we said, you can make a case for almost anybody in the field to win that race. And if Chase Elliott wins, then Doesn't
probably
matter
more
then.
likely that if Blaney wins on Sunday, that Truex could then ride in the back all day long at Daytona and
Yep.
points his way, hoping that a Wallace doesn't win or someone else. But yeah, I think that's as strange as that is. You'd have to. I mean, I think you would have to agree that, especially what we've seen this season, and even just in the last race, that Blaney, for whatever reason, is better on the road courses this year than Truex is.
Yep. He is. I mean, 3 top 4s in the 4 races on him, so he's got a shot. I mean, it's not like he's been terrible. Has he had race-winning cars? No, but
top 5s. Yeah,
you
like
don't
you
know.
said. Yeah.
We don't know what they're going to show up with this weekend. It's probably, and I think the other thing hurting him too is because of all the one race winners. It can't be all hands on deck on Blaney yet because they would like to get Cindric isn't guaranteed in yet either, because if somebody new wins these next 2 weeks and somehow Kurt Busch is back, and which I don't have any indication that he will be, but let's say he's back and let's say Cindric has terrible races these next 2 weeks and passes him in points, then Cindric's on the outside looking in. So it's not like it's all hands on deck on Blaney yet from the Penske organization, because you still kind of have to have Cindric have good finishes. So that's another thing that could be hurting him. But I think with Blaney too, with the whole situation with Harvick, if Blaney wins and he's in the playoffs at the win these last 2 weeks, I think he has to catapult himself up to one of the favorites. I mean, he's second in points for a reason. It's not like he's been terrible this year, but I think it would be
like Harvick.
Largely ironic. Yeah, I mean, Harvick's now, to me, one of the championship favorites.
Crazy.
As quickly as that's gone. But that's how crazy the season's been.
Well, and again, that's what you want. This type of unpredictability we have never seen before. All right, so what is the health status of Kurt Busch? Because is there a possibility that Kurt won't be healthy enough? And if he's not healthy enough, what happens?
I think that is a possibility. I mean, Kyle kind of acknowledged in a press conference, I was watching the videos from over the weekend at Richmond, that it sounded like a conversation took place because Kyle threw it out there. Kurt said a qualifying crash at Pocono is not the way he wants to go out. So that tells you the thoughts in his head. Because why would that statement come out of your mouth if it hasn't been in your head? Like, oh, this could be it. This isn't the way I want to go out. But it clearly has shown he may not want to go out that way, but he may be forced to go out that way because he's still not right. He's been out. I've seen him. He's posted. He was at a Cubs game last week. He was at a Charlotte MLS game last week. He's out and about. It's just his mind's not right. So there's no guarantee it's going to be right this week. And if it's not right this week, I think that clinches everybody with one win because Kurt's not going to catch them. But it's like we mentioned last week too. If he's not fully right, do you risk coming back these next 2 weeks with the left and right turns and then Daytona?
No way is he coming back for Daytona. No way.
I wouldn't. I'd maybe be if he's okay to come back this week, I'd still pull him next week. There's no sense to put him out there for that. And the question, I have an article going to come out tomorrow about it, about answering the questions about Kurt Busch and scenarios, because I've seen a question come up. Well, let's just say he doesn't race Watkins Glen or Daytona, and let's say he's not medically cleared to race Darlington. Does that mean he's out of the playoffs? No, he's still in. It doesn't matter if he doesn't come back. He's still technically part of the playoff field. Let's just say the next 2 winners are not first-time winners, and that 45 car he's playoff bound. Yeah. They're not going to take him out and put Blaney in. He's in. It would just force him. Let's say he misses the Southern 500, but he comes back for the second race, which I believe is Kansas. Then that means he's going to be in a deficit. He's probably going to have to win Kansas or Bristol to move on. So that still applies.
So what you're saying though is that if this was a serious injury though, if this is something that he's out for 2 months, in that scenario, he would be out of the playoffs, correct? And then there would be an additional spot open.
No, it would just be out of the 16. He would just get eliminated in the first round. He would just be
they wouldn't kick him out. So he would be a part of the playoffs.
Yeah. He just wouldn't race. He'd just be a 0 point
score.
Why
would they do that?
Just because he's qualified. Just because they basically say somebody that hasn't qualified in, they're not just going to throw him in. he would just be like that team that just scored 0 points. So he'd be eliminated in the first round. Let's say he misses the first 2 races of the first round. They're just out. It's a playoff car, but
I have to think about that, whether I like that or not.
That to me is, I could see that go, because somebody like Blaney, who has been in every race, who is healthy, is out second in points. So right now it doesn't matter as long as there's not 2 more first-time season winners. Okay. He's in the playoffs. It doesn't matter what happens.
And right now, what you're saying is, it sounds like it's more mental.
Sounds like it. Sounds like he's not mentally there because he's out and about. It's not like he's not functional. It's not like he's like, you hear with concussions, people are like locked in a dark room, like you just can't look at screens. He's out and about. They're trying to get him used to the noise and stuff. So the fact that it's entered his head, and here's an interesting scenario that could take place. Let's say he's like, you know what? I don't want to go out this way, but I just can't get back. I'm done. I think it solidifies next year probably being his last if he does come back, because his contract ends after next year. But there is the prospects out there is, well, if he doesn't come back, is this where Toyota maybe puts Kyle Busch? Yeah. Does Kyle replace Kurt? Is that how to keep him in-house? Or does Kyle stay in the 18 and Ty Gibbs race there for a year? And then Truex is out at the end of next year and retires, and they move him back over. So this plays a role in the silly season, oddly enough, is because you don't know what this could be a good ride open.
You know, when you're at this stage, and I'm sure this is the reason all these thoughts are going through his head. I'm at this point in my career. I have nothing really left to prove myself. Why am I screwing around with the health for the rest of my life? Why? Why do it? Especially when I'm only going to be driving another couple of years anyway, if that. So why go out there another time, have another concussion seriously impact the health of my living? And I could really see him saying this is it, especially after what you said. If that's what came out of his mouth, he's obviously thinking about it. And if you're thinking about it, I'd be, again, with no reason to have to prove anything, I would think that he might be done.
And we've seen NFL athletes, hey, concussions, I'm in my prime, but I'm done. I'm like Calvin Johnson was one that's shockingly, 4 or 5 years ago, top of his game, just walked away. And Kurt, as you said, I mean, all signs are pointing to next year being it. So as like you said, knowing that that's it, do you really want to risk taking one more hit that could affect the rest of your life? Because Denny Hamlin kind of made it clear they've got plans for Kurt front office stuff. Hey, when you're done, you don't have to go anywhere. You could still work here. So maybe he's thinking, and this is another thing nobody's really talking about, but I don't know how much merit it holds. Nobody's talking about it much. He's not obviously talked. But I wouldn't underscore the divorce that he's going through. He doesn't have any kids. And mentally, it'd be tough. I don't think a lot of people realize it's still tough on him. I mean, they're going through a divorce, and to deal with concussions and that, that may be another reason. Like, look, I'm out of this. I'm mentally not there. I've got all this distraction going on over here. Now I'm dealing with the head injury that, I mean, you're missing this much time. There's something going on there. You don't just, because usually you miss a week or 2. I mean, that's it. I mean, he's still out that, and I think here we are Tuesday. I haven't been on social media in the last hour or so, but as of 2:00, they still haven't announced. I would think if he was cleared, you probably would know by Tuesday.
Yeah.
He's back. And I thought it was telling that as we go over these odds here in a minute, Ty Gibbs was already on the odds list.
Yeah.
I thought that was telling that might be foreshadowing what's to come, because it seems like when every Wednesday the announcement comes, Kurt's not racing this week, Ty Gibbs is in. It's Tuesday. We've not heard anything. Here we are going into Wednesday. Now I'm more or less expecting he's probably going to be out another week. So that's a thing to watch.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. It will not be a surprise, though, if that's it for Kurt. And we all hope, I mean, at this point, again, even as fans, we hope it is the end. We don't want to see anything happen to him. So it's just not worth it. Okay, so a few things. We're going to be talking briefly about, is it Raikkonen? Raikkonen.
Kimi Raikkonen.
All right, so he's a former F1 champ.
Correct.
And he's now with the Project 91 team. All right. So what is
which
this
is
team?
that is the third Trackhouse car.
Okay.
Trackhouse put this together, which is a really good car. Who we've seen Trackhouse be really good on road courses. I almost took him this week
CJ did.
because of how good they've been. It was smart. I almost did. If you notice, I took a lot of long shots. Gonna make some
You learned
money
your
on some
lesson.
long shots. One. I did, and I was like, I mean, is he really going to come in and win his first
Yeah,
race?
that'd be a big story. Yeah.
It would be. But I mean, he grew up running road
Sure.
courses. Watkins Glen is kind of a European track, high speed. He's in a good car, but this team is about bringing foreign drivers to NASCAR.
Okay.
It's strictly just that's why they went and got Kimmy. Like, hey, he's a well-known former F1 driver, world-renowned, popular guy. Him running this, as an example, Daniel Ricciardo looks like he's getting bought out of that McLaren ride. I know we talked about that on the IndyCar and F1 silly season stuff. He's a huge NASCAR fan. This could be a landing spot for him for a few races next year. Elio Castro-Neves, IndyCar driver, wants to run a NASCAR race. They've been looking at possibilities. This seems like a destined ride for
just
him.
road courses.
So they'll run at other places. This is the first one. They said before they look at the future of this car and what they run, let's get through this weekend. Let's get through the first race and let's see how we stand. Let's see what we need to reevaluate. But no, it's here to stay. And I think eventually they're going to want to search for a charter for this car. And so it's like, hey, it's a guaranteed ride. Elio, Daniel Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, any of you big name drivers want to come try NASCAR, hey, I've got a car. So it helps attract other people to you. So yeah, it's essentially a third Trackhouse car is what this one is.
All right. So that's, again, CJ is the only one that put a few bucks on him. And again, just wrapping up last week. So Harvick wins again. Matter of fact, it's interesting because I looked at the points from our first Richmond race, and they were very similar. So
yeah,
I won the Richmond race, the first Richmond race with 210 points. I won this one with 225. Let's see, CJ was second with 150 this week, and then you were third with 140. So only 10-point difference. CJ had 180 the first time, and you had 175 the first time. So only a 5-point difference. So very similar, except the winning driver was different. But other than that, eerily similar. So yeah, Kevin Harvick wins it again, second week. And because Bell finished in second, that widens my lead in the standings at the right time, just before the playoffs start and all those points start to double and triple and whatever. So, you are now still about 100 points behind CJ for second.
Yep.
And you're with Gibbs now. So so what are you going to do? Have you thought about that? If Gibbs, let's say it's Gibbs' car for the playoffs, do you stick with Gibbs or are you going to look somewhere else?
I almost stick.
And by the way, Daytona is next week. So you could go for a Daytona driver.
I contemplated that. I was going to see where Gibbs gets through, because what a lot of people also I failed to mention earlier is there's still owners points, and the 45 car can get in, so they'll want Gibbs. So it's not like they're going to punt on
bro. Yeah.
So
it's so funny. It's like, who cares about that? Owners points. The owners trophy. Oh yeah, okay. That's something they cared about. The national people cared about 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Yeah,
that's like an in-house kind of thing. It's a rivalry between themselves, but fans don't care.
No, and it usually correlates with the drivers. It's only like Xfinity and trucks when you have like the Cup guys run that car.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I constantly is McDowell still open? Is he on your team?
No, he's open.
Did you drop him? That's what I thought. I contemplated this week.
You could still make the change whenever you want, as long as you make it before the race starts.
No, and Gibbs is a really
good road course driver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm like, I'm going to ride it out this week no matter what, because Gibbs that's why I was shocked he was 100-1. I mean, yes, Toyota struggled, but he's really good on road course. It just seems like it'd be fitting this season that the guy subbing for an injured driver.
Yeah, right.
Who's he with all this contract and drama with Kyle Busch and all that, and he comes out and wins. I think would be total 2022. So like, I'll hold on to him. He's a really good road course racer. So fitting he get his first Xfinity win, I think, on a road course, won out a Cup race. So like I'll hold on to him one more week, and I contemplated like a McDowell or somebody for Daytona, but right now it's like I'll take it week at a time, because even if picking up McDowell, like let's say he doesn't win, it doesn't make the playoffs, he's not finishing probably top 15, because we've seen in the playoffs
during
usually
the season,
the top finishers are all playoff drivers. So
I mean, it all depends. I mean, if McDowell actually, if he has a good result this week, would have to think, you know what? Because just looking at his results since Bristol Dirt, he's actually been pretty. He's like been 50% in the top 10.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. That's why I debated so hard, and I still might switch, because he's such a good road racer. McDowell's a road racer by nature. He's finished good. And he's got a Ford. But it would just be my luck to drop Ty. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go McDowell. I've talked myself into it.
That?
I know I said I'm going to let.
He's never led a lap at Watkins Glen.
No, he's a Ford, and he's been finishing top 10s on road courses.
Yeah, he does have 3 top 10s and 1 top 5 this year.
And then you got Daytona, when you know he can win there. Trends keep saying a first or second time winner is going to win these next 2 races. He's only won 1 race, so I'm just going to do it, because I was probably going to do it next week. Why hold on to Gibbs 1 more week? That way, if Kurt does come back, then he still lives in there. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop Ty.
All right,
we'll go.
And you picked him this week too. Actually, me and you, we both picked him. TJ was the only one that didn't pick McDowell this week.
So. He's just been so good at road course. I mean, even in Indy, when they faced all the penalty and all that over their head, he still was top 10. I mean, 3 top 10s. He was 3rd in Sonoma. So
and he was 7th this year at Daytona. So he
won the 500 last year.
So that could work. Oh, 8th at Talladega.
Yeah. So it's like I'm getting a guy that, at the very least, should get me a pair of top 10s. If all goes to plan for him. Yeah. Where Ty Gibbs, he's not a great super speedway racer, and I just feel like Toyota's deficiency. Even at Indy in the road course, I guess he really was top 15 type of guy, but he never was top 5, top 10. But McDowell was. So yeah, now that I talk it out, might as well just do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the icing on the cake. Has got to be the fact that even though he's a good road racer, Toyota has just been so bad on the road courses that, I mean, he is 100 to 1. It's different than 20 to 1, 15 to 1, but still, McDowell's 30 to 1. But yeah, I mean, I mean, if Gibbs would win, it's a shock.
It is. If the veterans of the Toyota can't get the road course car turned around, and why would a guy making a second career road course start in the Cup Series? Because Watkins Glen runs like Daytona or Talladega. It's like a super speedway road course, and it's about speed, and the Toyotas just haven't had it.
Now, are you sure you're sure you want to be? So why would you take McDowell then over Buescher? Buescher's got the runner-up at Sonoma. He's coming off a 3rd place finish. He's been okay on super speedways. He's not bad.
Yeah, I forgot he was sitting there. For some reason, I was thinking you had
Buescher, you got Haley, you got McDowell. Keselowski's the big name, of course. And
you know what? I'll do 2. Almirola, I'll punt on.
Oh, he's finally given up on Almirola.
Because he's not winning the road course, and then you're going to get to Daytona, and I will drop Gibbs and Almirola and go McDowell and Buescher.
Wow, I like it. First time,
because I'm getting a road course, and I'm putting the chips all in right here, because this is just for the 2 weeks.
Sure.
Right?
And if one of them wins, then you hold on to him for the playoffs. They're in.
Yeah, exactly. If not, then I got Kurt Busch and Eric Almirola kind of. Because if it flops and I'm still last place, I can pick back up the guys. And that's all right. Let's go all in with the 2 guys that fit the trend.
First time anybody's ever dropped 2 during the same week. I like it. That should make things exciting, and also making things exciting a little bit are our futures, because all of a sudden I've got $18,000 invested on Kevin Harvick on my $9,000 investment. I wish this money was for real. Yeah. So,
did you see I think it was somebody, I just saw it the other day. I totally missed this last week. some sports book made an error and put Kevin Harvick 130 to 1. And people are cashing in like $9, $10, $11,000
for the
wins.
futures.
No, for Richmond.
For Richmond?
Yeah. Some sports book messed up and people were cashing 130 to 1 at Richmond.
So they probably put a 1 in front of the 30.
Probably.
Whenever I've had a sports book that's made a mistake like that, normally what they've done is they basically look. Maybe it depends on the sports book, but the ones that have done that have usually, hey, it was just a mistake. Maybe they'll give you some credit or some whatever, but that's just a mistake. We're not going to be cashing those. Everybody knew it was a mistake, but that's interesting. So, hey.
Yeah, I haven't followed up to see if they paid him out. I mean,
so
at some point it's got to be too good to be true.
Unless it was, I mean, if it's like 500 people did it, it's just a mistake, guys. If it's like 3 people, maybe you go ahead and do it. All right, not that much.
But his future still, I mean, you're getting 20 to 25 to 1 last week. And now, I mean, he's arguably, I had this in my burning questions this week, probably the championship favorite. I mean,
if you had to bet right now today, and I guess let's go odds, because Elliott's still the only driver that's low at 3 to 1. Everyone else is 8 to 1 or higher. So who would you take based on the odds? Who would be your 4 drivers?
Harvick. I still think Logano, just trends wise, he's getting
at
hotter.
The top of your futures.
Every other year he's in the championship 4. So Logano, Harvick. I feel like Hamlin's going to end up
Logano's
getting
20 to 1.
And the 4th one.
Who was the 3rd one? Hamlin?
Hamlin. Yep. I feel like he's going to get there. And I think a Hendrick guy's got to get. So I do think Elliott will get there. I don't think he's going to win the championship.
Well, he could be your, you're going to hedge your bet guy.
Yeah, because I looked at it. I put in this article this morning. Every regular season champion, so we're only talking to 2017, has made it to championship 4 minus 1. It was Kevin Harvick in 2020 when he bowed out in the round of 8. So Elliott, I think with his playoff points, he's going to accumulate, can get there. But it's in every other year that they won the championship. Last year, Larson won the regular season championship and the overall championship. This year, the odds are against Elliott. And like I questioned a few weeks ago, did he peak too soon? And I just don't get a sense. Like last week, he top 5, but he mentioned, I don't know why I got a top 5. My car wasn't good. And he looked his 2 races before, wasn't even in the top 10. So I would say he'd be my 4th in the championship 4, but I don't, just because I feel like a Hendrick driver is going to get there, and I'm not comfortable with Larson yet. I still don't, they're not showing me as much as I thought they would.
I'm not comfortable.
So I'll go with Elliott.
Yeah.
No, I go with the playoff points aspect, but I think Harvick and Logano are really good values right now. They're probably the top of my list. I think that's 1 and 2 right now.
I'd still go with Blaney. I still think he's getting in. He'll find a way to get in.
Yeah.
I believe that. And you're getting a bonus now because of the fact that he's on shaky ground. You're getting him at 15 to 1. If the playoffs now started tomorrow, he'd be probably 8 to 1 with the other 3 guys behind Elliott. But because he may not get in. So if you like Blaney, take him now at 15 to 1 before the playoffs start.
Yeah. Him it wouldn't hurt to throw on Truex. It's not like he's running terrible. And
25 to 1.
Those tracks are good for him. That's why I put Harvick at the top of my list. It's not the fact that he's won 2 in a row. That's a no-brainer. It's look at what he's won on a high-speed track, and then you got Richmond. What's Richmond comparable to? Phoenix. What's Phoenix? The championship race.
Best track.
He was first and second. He's first and second at Richmond this year. That's his best track. He's won it 9 times. And you look at the round of 8, it's changed a little bit. Martinsville's still the cut race, and Harvick hasn't been great at Martinsville. We get Homestead, he's been great at. And you look at Homestead's comparable to Darlington, and he was good at Darlington earlier this year. I think he didn't. He wasn't as good this year, but he's been good in the past. And then I believe Vegas is the first race of the round of 8. So I think he could win one of those 2 races to put him in the championship 4. And he's been at his best on short tracks arguably this year. So yeah, that's where I put him in his odds, and Logano's good at those tracks as well. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Logano 4th or 3rd, something like that in Martinsville earlier this year? So he's not afraid to ruffle. But no, he was second. He mentioned he should have pushed William Byron out of the way.
Yep.
So again, he led 222 laps at Richmond on Sunday. You're going to throw him into the championship 4, which is comparable to Richmond. So for the longer, oddly enough, those are my top 2, and they're probably 2 of the longer odds right now.
I'm actually surprised you didn't put a couple of bucks on Logano this week. I did. You know what?
I was an oversight. I meant to. I should have. I must have forgot to put him down.
Yeah.
Because
his odds.
Are you talking about for Watkins Glen? You meant for Watkins Glen, not futures?
For Watkins Glen.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. That wasn't oversight. No. His last 4 Watkins Glen finishes are just none of them in the top 20.
Yeah, I know. But he did lead 11 laps last year. And we know he can ride on these tracks, and and as you're saying, he's now he's got some momentum the last 3 races. So again, I still think this is going to be, like you said, though. See, I think what we've seen is a pattern, like you were saying, is that even though we're not getting fluky winners for the road courses, we're getting good road course drivers, but not necessarily the ones we're expecting to win. So Logano fits that, and there are other guys that fit that. And, again, not great, Logano, but good enough, and the odds are high. So, yeah.
And the Toyota guys you can almost discredit. So that's going to give him spots at the end of the day anyways.
Yeah, probably.
That could put him there.
Yeah. Taking a look at it. So, Watkins Glen, 29 of the 38 all-time winners started in the top 10. 25 of them started in the top 5. 10 of them started on the pole. Chevy's won the last 3. 2 Elliott, 1 Larson, but those are the old days. That was last year. The year before, when different car. Ford has only 1 win in the last 8. And this is the 5th road course race when you're going over your research. You've got Indy, Road of America, Sonoma, and Circuit of America.
COTA. Yep.
So getting started here, how many picks do you think we had? We had 4.
Elliott? Did everybody go on Elliott?
I was the only one that didn't. I've been staying away from these favorites lately, and it's been working because they're just.
It has been working.
It's like it's too crazy out there right now to take a favorite.
Reddick? Would Reddick be one?
No. Because he's a favorite. 6-1.
Yeah,
that's
true.
The reason.
Allmendinger? Yeah, I don't blame you. Allmendinger?
Yes. 25-1.
Cindric?
Yes. 10-1.
Busher?
Yes. 30-1.
And then I know you said CJ didn't take McDowell, so he wouldn't be the other one. Suarez?
No.
I'm trying to think of a longer odds. It's got to be in that little. I bet he's in the 10 to 20-1 range, isn't he? Is that the one? Trying to figure out which other one am I missing.
A driver that I if I was thinking about taking a championship driver right now, I would seriously consider him.
Blaney? Was it Blaney?
I definitely considered him.
Yeah.
Chastain.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking he was higher up. I'm like, well, you said no favorites. You didn't think so. But no, yeah, his odds are not up in the – I don't know why I was thinking he was 6-1, but he's 10-1.
Yeah, Reddick is 6-1, as well he should be with the and Larson at 9-1 would, maybe. But Elliott, Reddick, definitely the co-favorites up there. The other – okay, so as far as Elliott and you put money on Elliott and Reddick. So you still siding with Elliott more than Reddick?
Yeah, he's just been so good at Watkins Glen, and it's like he's been terrible on road courses this year. I mean, you take out Indy, he lined up second on that restart, and he just spun with the second to last restart. He was on the front row. He was second the one prior. He was 4th in COTA, so he's got 6 top 5s his last day on the season, 3 straight top 2s at Watkins Glen. So he's there for a reason. I'm like, this would be the week if I don't take him, because I rode him for weeks. That was a lot of my wins where I was picking him. I might as well pick him at his best track. So
Second, first in his last 3 at Watkins Glen. And Reddick, 10th last year in his first visit, but he's won back-to-back road course races. And then we go to those 2 10-to-1s, Cindric and Chastain. Yeah, I mean, Chastain has gotten better each time he's been at Watkins Glen. He's got the road course win this year. And you just get the feeling that he's going to be there in the end. And he's perfectly made, really, if you think about the way that he drives. He's perfectly made for the road course style of racing. He's completely content with banging cars and with that kind of strategy. And Cindric has 4 top 10s this year in the 4 road course races, including a runner-up last time out. That was at Indianapolis.
At Indy. And you think of the reason he finished second was because actually Chastain crossed the yard of bricks second. And he, looking back on it, probably, yes, I get why he's penalized, but as everybody said, he made the right move. He would have drove into a wreck. So that's the only reason his finish. I think that's why we get him at 10. That's probably why we get him at 10-1, because the odds makers are looking at that finish.
At 27, he should have 4 top 10s and actually 3 top 5s.
And Cindric would have finished third. So it's like, yeah, he, even if you put him down a spot, doesn't change the way I look at him. And he, if I'm not mistaken, he won an Xfinity race there too. So Cindric definitely, yeah, these are good odds for him. These are a good week for him this week and next, because he won the Daytona 500 too. So I like Cindric and Chastain this week and next.
Okay, and then you have we can start talking about the Toyotas, because look, like I said, I'm rolling the dice a little bit because I'm getting better odds because they're driving Toyotas. That's all. So I figure, all right, maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe there'll be some big wrecks. And lo and behold, one of my Toyotas will be sitting there, especially someone that needs a win like Truex. So I decided to put money on Truex and Bell. And I know you guys stayed off of both of those. Matter of fact, I think the only one who put money on a Toyota was CJ. He put money on Kyle and Hamlin. I'm surprised he put money on Kyle and Hamlin and didn't put money on Bell.
Yeah, Bell's the better of. Honestly, I almost took Bell just because he's hot on the season. He's good on road courses. You remember, he was good at Indy. He was the one that just had that damage that caused that caution to change it all, because he got that the fender blew off. But
yeah,
out of anybody, I would have gone Bell's route. Kyle,
Kyle,
keep talking until he gets that figured out. Yeah,
I keep going. Well, this week, because he's 15-1, I was like, yeah, whoa, 15-1. Well, maybe I got to put money on Kyle this week. And then just before I'm thinking of doing it, I'm like, no, I can't do it. I can't put money on Kyle right now.
If they would put him, which is, to me, it's weird that Joey Logano, to me, has more upside and has been finishing better. But we get to these type of races, and he's always 22-1, 30-1, 40-1. But Kyle's always between 10 and 15-1. It's like, if you put him back in the 20-some-to-1 range, I'd probably snag him just because he's Kyle Busch in the range.
That's different. Yeah.
But I just can't. I couldn't fathom. When I saw 15-1, I just scrolled right on by. And Hamlin he's mentioned these are their worst tracks, and they're not going to turn it around this week. So
and keep in mind, Hamlin's only led 18 laps in 15 races at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, this is not one of his better tracks in general. So the only way Hamlin wins is if, and this is not a slight against Denny Hamlin, is if 9-10 drivers crash out before him. There's just really no shot. And Kyle until that contract gets figured out, I just don't think they're just going to have that magic pill to get to victory lane. Truex needs a win. I see where you're thinking there. And Bell's been arguably right now the most consistent driver for JGR. Yeah. I mean, it's not just on the road courses, it's on the season. He's been pretty good entering this weekend.
Can you believe that way back, I forget what it was, might have been April, way back then, you dropped Christopher Bell for Ross Chastain, which actually was a good move.
It turned out good for me. It was just weird that those two, how it played out, were they were there. Like, that we could shuffle around. Now looking back, I'm like, Chastain might be a championship 4 contender. Huh? And Bell, like last year, 2 years ago, I remember I had him as my sleeper of the playoffs, the round of 8, and looking at it now, I'm like, I think he can make the round of 8 the way he's running. He might be arguably enough, depending on what happens to Hamlin, he could be the longest duration in the playoffs driver this season coming in, because I could see Hamlin getting bounced in the second round. Kyle, the way they're running, and keep this in mind. I thought about this the other day. If not for that late race contact with Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick, they were running 1-2
That's crazy
Bristol
to think
dirt
about
race.
that. Yeah.
If they don't have contact, where Chase Briscoe threw the Hail Mary, let's just say he's like, this isn't going to work. He doesn't do it. Kyle Busch is in the playoffs right now.
That's crazy.
He's the one on the outside looking in. And it really wouldn't be all that close because Truex has, I can pull it up right here. Truex has 740 points and Kyle has 663. So the battle with Blaney and Truex is a lot closer than Truex and Kyle would have been. So just think about it. If that doesn't happen, Kyle Busch is not in the playoffs right now with 2 weeks to go, and we're probably having that same discussion we are about Truex.
Big story. That
he's not necessarily. So you could point to this season. A big moment is that last lap.
That stupid dirt track nonsense that they're going to keep going back at every year.
Yep.
Ruining our 2-race Bristol deal. Okay. All right. So luckily that's something that Kyle doesn't have to worry about. Taking a look at the rest of our picks. Let's see. You guys both put money on Suarez at 18-1. So you put money on Suarez. I put money on Bell, the two 18-1 drivers. Then again, we all put money on AJ. And at this point, I mean, at 25-1, see, that's better. I think I could have sworn at some other race he was like 12-1 or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't bet him there. You have to take him at 25-1. So
yeah, I mean, this was his first career win was at Watkins Glen. I mean, it's not like, again, in Indy, he was 7th. He was 9th in Road America. Sonoma, he was around the top 10 before that issue late. And then Coda, he was in the top 2. Him and Chastain had the lot. So 25-1 was a no-brainer to go his route.
And then, let's see. I was the only one to put money on Briscoe. We all put money on Buescher. We talked about McDowell. I talked about putting money on Logano. And again, with Logano, you take a look at the fact that at 30-1, you have a driver who has decent. He's a decent road course driver. As I mentioned, he led 11 laps last year on this track, different car and all that. Road courses, he's coming off a 6th place finish his last time out. So, and he won Watkins Glen back in 2015. So, anyway, you put a little bit of money on Keselowski.
Yeah, I mean, RFK has been decent. You look at what Buescher did on road courses. It's not like Keselowski's been terrible on him this year. This isn't one of his better tracks, but he has had past success there before, too.
3 runner-ups.
He hasn't looked terrible. Yeah, and he hasn't looked terrible on road courses this season. So,
okay.
So he's a guy that can go off strategy and get something done. So, yeah, I went in his direction.
He's one of those guys we talked about. He can race on a road course, and if the luck falls his way, you got good odds. And then Gibbs, you guys put a couple of bucks each on Gibbs, and I put money on Wallace. Last week he didn't really have it like Truex. I just wonder a little bit about the way that he pouted after the loss a few weeks ago. That it's almost like he gave up on the season already. Like, I know I'm not going to be good at these next 2 tracks, and then it's up to Daytona. It's almost like he said, this was the best chance. I was kind of surprised about that. So, yeah, he hasn't had the great results early this year, but he was 5th last time out on the road course. So he had a top 10 car, and he has 6 straight top 15. So I figured at 100-1, I should put a couple of bucks on Wallace. Did he get a contract extension?
Yes. Last week in Michigan. Yes, he did. Okay. So he's set for the future too. So he's all good.
And then you and I put money on Jones. I thought Jones was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
250-1.
Yeah. Even if he was last in every road course race, like 250-1 for a guy that needs a win doesn't hurt.
He's got 3 top 10s in his last 6 on the season. And in 4 cup races at Watkins Glen, he has 3 top 10s and 2 top 5s.
In 6 of the last 11 road course races, the winner won their first or second race. Also, in the last 15 road course races, 14 of them were won by Chevrolet, including 10 straight. Well, you had Trackhouse and RCR win the 4 road course races. Why not another Chevy team with a driver that's won 1 career race? The trends fall his way, and he's 250-1.
Yeah,
so
that's easy.
That's the route. Yeah, that was a no-brainer
And
for
then
me.
you also put money on Burton and Haley at 500 to 1.
Yeah, why not with Burton? Haley, same deal. Collie Racing, Allmendinger's teammate, road course, Chevrolet. He's got one career win. Let's try that out for 501. And Burton just finished in the top 5 at Indy. So crazy things happen again for 500 to 1. I'm like, let's win some money. If he doesn't win, then I only lost a couple bucks. If he wins, then I won a lot. So.
Yeah, that's true too. Okay, what kind of a race do you expect on Sunday based on how do you like Watkins Glen in general?
I've always liked that road course. I expect it almost to be a little tamer in nature. And what I mean by that is, in the past, we've seen strategies and points and who's staying for stage points and who's not. Well, there's only 2 guys that are thinking points. And I think they take them. You have to. And everybody else, you can kind of just play it status quo. Like, if you're Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott, and do you really need to pit 2 laps before the stage, knowing that most of these other guys may not, and they may stay out? Do we really want to get the train, or is everybody going to pit? You have that either. It's going to be a monkey see, monkey do, I think, for the first couple stages, because why? You're not going for points.
What about Eddie? So, you think anybody's going to take a Blaney chance with the tires?
I think he might. I think it depends on how the tire wear looks in practice, but I think you might see more of that stuff in the final stage, where I think that's where it might get chaotic in strategy with who takes fuel only, who takes 2 tires only, who, hey, there's a caution, but I'm not pitting, or there's a caution, but I am going to pit for 4 tires. I think that is where it's going to be more chaotic. But I think up until that point, you're not going to see those strategy type plays, because nobody other than out of the 38, 39 cars, only 2 of them even care about points, which is different than a lot of other years there.
Yeah, Blaney and Truex. Okay, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to try to remember to ask you this every week, because some of our viewers seem to ask this question every week. So what would be your top 3 picks this week? And by the way, do you have your top 3 picks every week at Covers? How do you put your picks together at Covers?
I give them 3 or 4 favorites, 3 or 4 sleepers.
Okay.
And then a couple fades. So no, I'd say my top 3.
And again, this is just if you just could only pick 3 drivers. That's it.
Yeah, I'd say I'd go with the hedge with Elliott, just because I think he's going to be there.
Okay.
I honestly think Buescher is going to be there. He's just been running too well on road courses. And I think my 3rd, I'm going to say Allmendinger.
Okay.
He's been good on road courses, and he's another guy that doesn't care about points. And he's been close enough. And Watkins Glen is a good track for him. So I'm going to say Elliott, Buescher, Allmendinger as my 1, 2, 3.
Okay. I'll go with Chastain, and you know what? I'll stay away from the Toyotas in this scenario. Yep. And boy, I don't know. I'd probably go back to Cindric too.
I almost him and McDowell and Chastain are the 3 that I'm like, they're hard to not put in that top 3. But they're right in that next group. But yeah, Cindric, I think he'll be there.
And then probably between AJ and Buescher, So like you said, one of those 2 there. I'll probably go with AJ. So I'll probably go Chastain. So I agree with you on AJ. Buescher makes sense. Chastain, Cindric for me. You got Elliott there. All right, so there you go. And then it's off to Daytona next week. Can't wait. It's it. Last regular season race. We'll have all the information we need to know as far as who's in, who's out, or who could be in, who could be out, who could steal a spot. Anybody can steal a spot, which is awesome. Yep. Never had this before. Somebody could steal a spot. So
no. Usually you've had it come down to last race for the 1 spot, but we've never had it come down where it could be you're knocking a winner already out.
Knocking some money out, yes.
Because that would be unique, and there's a chance with the drivers we just talked about it could happen. So that's where it makes this weekend interesting. Is it a new winner or somebody that's already won? Because that's very beneficial. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, too, as long as Chase Elliott finishes, I think, top 34, then he clinches the regular season championship. I meant to say that earlier when we talked about regular season. So you got that going for him, too. So that's 15 playoff points.
Oh. So he'll be the man. He'll be way up and above. Yeah. Does it matter?
Yeah,
Does he
nothing's
really?
changing.
Does he have to? Is there only? Is it like a limit? And then once you get to that limit, it's you don't even need to care anymore.
Nope. That's why he might be one that I would think. You got the 15. A win doesn't necessarily matter. Maybe he stays out too. Hey, I'll take that stage win. I'll take that playoff point
Yeah.
because I got 15 more of them coming. I'll take 2 more, so I can get 2 playoff points and 15 more for the. Yeah, I'm gonna stay out and take the stage point or the stage win. So
he can still accumulate more points that he'll get when the playoffs start. The more he can accumulate, the more of a gap he'll be able to widen.
Yeah, because regular points don't matter to him at all. Because let's be honest, he's going to win the regular season.
Yeah.
Blaney has to sweep both stages and win the race and have Chase Elliott score no stage points and finish 34th or worse. Translation, that's not happening. So if you're Chase Elliott, regular points don't matter because you're not going to take those with you. Playoff points do. So I think that's where his main factor is.
All right, there you go. So next week we'll have a lot more of a clear picture. And if anybody else has any questions, let us know in the description area of our channel here of this video. We'll be back again next week, and then in 2 weeks we will preview the playoffs. CJ Radoon will be back, and it should be a fun show. So Eric, appreciate it as always. Enjoy the race, and we will talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.